What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Ah, the Fallout show. The gift that keeps on giving if that gift was made in the Middle East. A couple of months ago, we started getting leaks on Fallout Show Season 2, and now with filming having been wrapped, moving on to the editing stage, I would like to point you to the fact that Fallout Show Season 2 is very likely to disappoint you. You might be wondering how I was able to say that with the certainty that I did, and don't worry, I will explain it to you, but let's first just get some context and background on this. Fallout is a franchise of role-playing games. Alleged. Fallout is a role-playing game franchise set in the nuclear post-apocalypse in which you survive the nuclear post-apocalypse and have to make a series of choices in order to complete objectives. From things as minor as simply finding who stole something to deciding the fate of entire civilizations, Fallout is a franchise in which options are at the focal point of the games. And for those options to mean anything, there's usually a story behind every single choice. That farmer not getting enough water to make crops to feed the population isn't just a simple quest where you go and fix a pipe. It's actually a complex quest line involving going through the mutated remnants of a collapsed society in a vault, figuring out a puzzle, and deciding whether to save the barely surviving inhabitants, if you even know they are there, or restoring the water so a hungry population can be fed. And, of course, dealing with the consequences of that. Or finding your family member. Or a quest in which you discover how an entire population wiped itself out by partaking in an experiment in which they needed to kill one of their own in order to survive another year, only to find out in the end that all the people they murdered didn't have to die because they could have just not given anyone up in the first place and made it out of the vault. And reading or hearing recordings of how they lost their sanity and their senses of selves having to participate in such a cruel experiment. Killing themselves rather than having to live with the knowledge of what they had done. Or finding a family member. Or being a lone wolf sent out to find a water chip in order to save the population of your vault. And then finding it only to realize that if you take it, you doom an entire civilization to a death by dehydration. And then finding it only to realize that if you take it, you doom an entire civilization to a death by dehydration. And then you have to live with the consequences of it or find an alternative. All the while, the clock is slowly ticking as your population, your family, your people wait to die or to be saved by you and you alone. Or finding a family member. The point I've been trying to get to is that Fallout Show Season 1 did not understand what Fallout was really about. Which is something that people who have played Fallout games, even if it's just the Bethesda-developed ones, are going to be able to understand to a degree. Fallout is known for its complex worlds, its deep writing, its deep lore. Not only that, but Fallout Show Season 1 also retconned a bunch of the previous games, which is in line with the habit that Bethesda has to simply retcon whatever it is they need to retcon in order to make their story slightly more convenient for them. Going from erasing the entire lore of one of the most recognizable aspects of Fallout, that being the power armor, solely so they could have some neat trailer footage including a new piece of power armor that they designed, which looks like shit might I add, all the way to erasing decades of writing just to make their lore on the show more convenient. Not really interested in building a world of their own, but really just erasing what was previously there in order for cheap gratification on the moment of releasing a new product, that is. Expecting audiences to clap along like seals because they recognize something that they had seen before. Ranger clothing?
I clapped when I saw it.
Oh, vault suit?
I clapped when I saw it.
I'm not going to go too in-depth into it. If you want me to go more in-depth into this topic, you can look at my Fallout show review in which I went through the show episode by episode and explained the primary issues with it, but there you go. But what is important to know is that the Fallout show retcons a lot of the games and a lot of aspects of the games for cheap gratification points and cannot be consistent even with itself. And don't worry if you don't understand the context of the issues that I'm going to list, I will explain them for you here. Suffice it to say that I wasn't exactly very hopeful when they said they were paying attention to the writing of the Fallout show, specifically even Season 2. Because Season 2 takes place in New Vegas, the location of my favorite Fallout game. Guess guessed the name, Fallout New Vegas. That's right, you remember that, don't ya?
I clapped when I saw it.
But the most disheartening part was seeing the defenses for the leaks that came out in regards to the Fallout show. Because not only did the leaks point to something absolutely abhorrent in production, but the defenses surrounding it further solidified my belief that no matter what gets put on screen, people are going to defend it for no reason other than it being recognizable to some product that they consumed in the past, and being able to modestly entertain them no matter how low the quality of that entertainment is. And you know what? I am able to respect people that just come up to me and say that they enjoyed it, that they were entertained by it, far more than I respect people who actually try to defend it and pretend it makes sense, as a thinly veiled excuse for them to hide their retardation and try to get an own on people they dislike. Don't believe me? Let's start off with the power armor leak.
Wow, you are really dark. Like, I mean, you're like fucking black. Like, a real dark nigga.
When this was leaked, I said that someone who doesn't understand why this isn't an insult to fans and a display of how little the showrunners actually care, they shouldn't be talking about Fallout in the first place. And oh boy, people came out of the fucking woodworks to help prove what everyone has always known to be the truth, that being me being correct in an argument of any kind. In case you don't know, this is a T-60 model, or at least what I believe to be a T-60 model power armor, that piece of shit that Bethesda invented for the trailers of Fallout 4 back in 2015, with paint representing the New California Republic and a helmet representing that of the Desert Rangers, a faction that isn't even specifically NCR. Effectively, an amalgamation of shit that people might be able to remember in order to bait the audience into saying, oh look, I recognize that, and saying that it's a good representation of how the games is. Anybody that played the most recent game that involved the NCR, that being Fallout New Vegas, would be able to tell you why this is bullshit on so many levels. Or at least that's what I believed before I saw some of the defenses for this bullshit, because the people defending this crap came out with some of the most insane defenses that I have ever seen, namely, Fallout Show Season 1 defenders saying that the NCR has been operating for over 100 years, so they should be able to develop power armor by now. And I really do want to agree with that. It's now the 2290s, and the NCR should be able to develop power armor by now, given that it's been 100+ years since it became a full-fledged country. Except for the fact that Fallout Show Season 1 literally turned the NCR from a full-fledged country spanning multiple states in the former United States into a small village in the LA Boneyard, retconning the industrial powerhouse of the New California Republic, nuking it into oblivion to the point where the only remnants of that faction are a small militia held up in a single building, murdering the last fighting survivors of that civilization, turning some of them into degenerate cultists drinking blood in a vault, and then straight up having a character say the experiment that was the New California Republic didn't work out. Oh, and by the way, Shady Sands was nuked before the events of Fallout New Vegas took place. I don't give a fuck what your cope excuses even are. I already explained it in my Fallout show review, and I'm not gonna explain myself here again. Not that I had to explain it, but hey, apparently the people who cry media literacy aren't able to tell me what the fuck they just watched when questioned in conversation about said show. In effect, the show showed us that the world is literally unable to move on and progress, and it's being defended by people saying that the world is moving on and progressing. Do you see how stupid this sounds? You just shot somebody. Thank fuck you didn't shoot anybody, though. Evidently, some people started to realize that this defense wasn't gonna work because it's fucking retarded, so they tried to say that in Fallout New Vegas, people had power armor. The NCR had power armor. Would you look at this? Oh look, that's power armor. It's power armor, and it has the NCR logo on it. Therefore, that must be the NCR using power armor. Now, I'm gonna say something that's kinda shocking if you're a tourist pretending to actually know what you're talking about. But that, and I can't believe I have to explain it to people who at least claim to have played the games, but that is actually not power armor that the NCR is wearing. That is a heavy trooper armor. See, Fallout New Vegas takes place after the Battle of Helios 1 between the Brotherhood of Steel, a bunch of people who wear power armor, and the NCR, a bunch of people who do not wear power armor. And they do not wear it because they don't know how to make it or even use it. After thoroughly skull-fucking the Brotherhood of Steel, thank you, New California, the NCR found a bunch of pieces of power armor left by the Brotherhood of Steel in the battlefield. However, the NCR, as they themselves admit in the game, by the way, don't know how to make it work, they don't know how to fix it, they don't know how to manufacture it, and even if they could, they don't know how to use it. Because, as Bethesda themselves defined, you need power armor training in order to wear power armor. But, because they now had the Caesar's Legion breathing down their necks, they decided that it was better to simply have heavier armor than to not wear any heavy armor at all. So, as the NCR themselves admit, they simply stripped the T-45 pieces of power armor for the armor pieces, and they simply got their troopers to wear the armor part of the power armor, stripping it to such a degree where not only does it simply not function as power armor anymore, but in the game itself, you do not need power armor training to wear it. Everything that I just explained, by the way, is something that you can find out and be outright told if you simply play the NCR path of Fallout New Vegas. AKA, something that even people who didn't pay much attention to Fallout New Vegas should have noticed in the first place, or something that you would have come to the conclusion of if you simply wore the fucking armor in question in the game. Really, this argument just exposed a bunch of tourists for the fucking tourists that they are, because this defense is something that is so simple, something so absolutely in your face, that I legitimately never thought I would have to explain to anybody at all. My girlfriend knows nothing of Fallout New Vegas, and I'm pretty sure that if I put Fallout New Vegas in front of her, she would have been able to come to this fucking conclusion within 2 hours of starting the game. And I'm not even fucking kidding. So the fact that we even reached this fucking point really goes to show the level of copium that a lot of people are willing to come to in order to defend their favorite product, made by their favorite multi-million-dollar company that totally gives a shit about the quality they're putting out, when people are just willing to give over money without any standards. But somehow it got worse, because then people came up with the defense of the Scorched Sierra power armor being an example as to the NCR having power armor. Yes, because the Scorched Sierra power armor is definitely something that the NCR was able to manufacture by themselves. Yes, they totally manufactured the Scorched Sierra power armor that they totally didn't just find in the Sierra Army Depot. And I guess it's too much of a stretch to say that maybe the guy wearing it was just a defector from the Brotherhood of Steel, or maybe it's one guy that trained with it by himself and was able to figure out how to use it. But then it somehow, and I can't believe it, oh my god, I can't believe, somehow it got even worse, because people started saying that not only does it make sense for the NCR to have power armor, but it also makes sense for the NCR to have a piece of shit power armor that looks like this, because they already have power armor that looks like this, and they use the example of the Desert Ranger armor. Oh god, fucking hell. I was going to explain this and really show how stupid it is, but instead I'm just gonna have pictures of both of these on the screen right now, and I'm gonna tell you, does the one on the right look like power armor to you? No, really, just look at it for a second. Does that look like power armor to you? No? Congratulations, you have functioning eyeballs and are somehow smarter than half the people in my Twitter replies. Now, you might be wondering why I spent so long talking about tourists and people defending Fallout show for this. You may have been wondering why I took so long to highlight the stupidity of these people. And the reason for that, and I have to spell it out for some people, the reason for that is when the fan base that you are appealing to, the quote-unquote fan base that you are appealing to, has standards as low as this, to the point where they defend the indefensible with something that only reveals that they aren't actual fans of the franchise in question, then there is no guarantee, much like there is no incentive, for the makers of the show to actually give a shit about the quality of their writing, or to be respectful of the franchise that they are making a show on. I mean, fuck, on top of the dozens of retcons that we already saw in Season 1, how many fucking things were there that were just added for the sake of getting people to clap along and say that they recognized it? What's an Assaultron that was never seen on the West Coast doing on the West Coast? Fuck it, I don't know. What's a Gulper doing on the West Coast? Fuck it, I don't know. What's that stupid fucking blimp from Fallout 4 doing on the other side of the fucking continent? Fuck it, I don't know. Why is the Enclave even in this show, or referenced in a location where they should never fucking be in? Fuck it, I don't know. Why are there laser weapons despite us never seeing them be used, despite the fact that characters supposedly walk into combat with them? Fuck it, I don't know. They don't give a shit about consistency, they just want things that you can easily recognize to get seals to clap along to. For a perfect example of this, think no further than Bethesda's favorite fucking faction that never seems to fucking die despite having literally every single fucking reason to, and only surviving because Todd Howard said so. The show writers know quite matter-of-factly that a lot of the people defending the Fallout show are Fallout 4 shills. What's the most recognizable piece of power armor from Fallout 4? It's this, the T-60. What's the only piece of power armor that you see during the entirety of the Fallout show? It's this, the T-60. Is there a concrete reason as to why? Is it ever explained? Is there actually a proper reason for things to be as as they are? No, not really. But it's there, and you remember it from the games, therefore it must be good.
I clapped when I saw it.
And then there's the Caesar's Legion. What are they doing here? You see, even if you go for the best ending of Caesar's Legion in Fallout New Vegas, Caesar's Legion is something that simply cannot survive. As literally every character states in Fallout New Vegas, the Caesar's Legion is simply not going to fucking survive because Caesar's Legion depends on Caesar. Even if they beat the NCR, they will be absolutely fucked by attrition, which is something that the strongest fucking soldier in the entire Caesar's Legion, Linnaeus, fails to fucking consider unless you tell him. And you can only tell him about this if you're siding against them. Moreover, the NCR is quite strong. It's literally just the Mojave expedition of the NCR that's weak as fuck. And Caesar's successor is Linnaeus, a guy that literally doesn't give a fuck about logistics and shit like that. Or even nation building and just wants to go and fight and murder everybody. We know from the leaks that there are no Legion banners inside of the New Vegas Strip, meaning that the Legion couldn't have won. And given that the Legion is a giant mishmash waiting to explode into a fucking civil war, I really have to wonder how the fuck are there any Legionnaires in the fucking Season 2? Could it be that they've got an intricate plotline set up for us where they're going to have some deep lore and new additions and a really intricate story that they want to tell us? Or could it just be that they're adding shit that they know people are gonna recognize but are gonna end up being largely nonsensical and just fucking bait for seals to clap at, like it was in Season 1 with the Enclave and the Brotherhood of Steel and the fucking Water Chip and the Assaultrons and the Stim Packs and the fucking dog which refused to die and just showed up because the plot said it was convenient? I don't know, man. I'm really struggling to think about this one. Could it be could it be a repetition of the pattern that's been going on since 2008, or could it be fucking something completely new that they've never done before? Ooh, 20 years of an unbroken pattern or something completely new. I don't know. Which one of these do you think is more likely? If you legitimately believe that it's gonna be the latter option, then you probably pre-ordered the Starfield DLC and are excited for the Elder Scrolls 6. Leave a money emoji if you got this far into the video and agree. Not like Bethesda gives a shit about being consistent, because we also know from leaks that there's gonna be a bunch of NCR troopers in there. Meaning that not only are they retroactively admitting that they fucked up in Season 1, but when people start to binge watch this show in like 5 or 6 years time, they're gonna start noticing the massive inconsistency that it is in Season 1 where there's no NCR. And then there's suddenly gonna be NCR troopers right afterwards. It's probably also gonna be jarring as fuck for the people that are gonna binge watch Season 1 again before watching Season 2. And I'm really sorry if I've repeated myself a lot thus far, but it really bears repeating because this argument is actually a very simple one. It's the sort of reasoning that you learn before you reach 6th grade in school. And yet it's something that people seem to be incapable of doing every single time that Fallout is the topic of conversation. And I think we all know here what kinds of people I'm referring to.
Who are the
final reason that I think that Fallout Show Season 2 is going to disappoint you is actually a very simple one. Remember the humor that we saw in Fallout Season 1? You know, the cheap Gen Alpha / Gen Z shitty sexual humor that makes absolutely no sense and where there has to be a fucking sexual pun every 10 minutes or else people get bored? You see, that humor in the overall presentation of Season 1 is something that even defenders of the show caught on to. It was an attempt to appeal to the masses. It was an attempt to appeal to everybody. The first season of the Fallout show very clearly tried to appeal to everybody, tried to appeal to the masses. A lot of people even made that argument in order to defend it as if it's even a good thing. The problem with trying to appeal to everybody is that you appeal to nobody, and while it might work in the short term, it doesn't work in the long term. It gets stale very fucking quickly, and when the brain rot humor stops working, people start noticing every single other flaw. And given how much Season 1 relied on this appeal to everybody sort of presentation and delivery, I, and nobody else, a defender of the show or not, has any reason to believe that it's gonna be any different in Season 2, especially considering that that's one of the things that Season 1 was praised over. We live in a day and age where people don't think and don't care in the long term. It's only a matter of the quick dopamine hit and then moving on to the next thing. And you know what? I am very fucking pissed off that one of my favorite franchises of all time was sacrificed at the altar of modernity and modern shows and modern shitty fucking humor instead of being true to itself. I know for a fact that this is going to get better. I know for a fact that Fallout is one day going to get better, but I am so fucking pissed that time was sacrificed in order to appease people that weren't fans of Fallout in the first place and wouldn't have been fans of Fallout if it had stuck to it what it was, and that it was hijacked by a pathological liar in order to make easy money off a franchise that had a lot of potential and did execute a lot of that potential, so a bunch of hallway tripping retards could retcon history and say that it was always a fucking comedy and somehow turn one of the most impactful franchises in gaming, which was serious, intricate, complex, deep, expansive, imaginative, genre-defining, into a shitty pseudo-comedy that's gonna do nothing except crash and burn because it's doing nothing except chasing trends. All the while relying on iconography that the current owners had absolutely dick all to do with, and the state of which is only being fed by easily manipulated, smooth-brained industry whales that take glee in making everything shit for everyone else, or to stroke their own cucked egos, while raking easy paychecks by making YouTube videos parroting the popular opinion and doing nothing else. Integrity has gone out the window a long time ago, and you know it's really fucking bad when even Chief Fanboy fucking Oxhorn struggle to keep a straight face and a consistent tone while making videos trying to justify the bullshit that was put on screen. Listen to the fucker's videos before the Fallout show and then listen to one of the ones he put out afterwards and you see what I mean. And honestly, if you're a fan of Fallout and you defend this show on any basis other than I enjoyed it personally, fuck you 4 times over for surrendering such a beloved franchise for cheap gratification points and trying to stroke your own fucking ego. Thank you very much. Leave a fire emoji next to your money emoji if you agree with my sentiment. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.